trained. We are leaders who nurture expectancy in corporate worship. What a great thing it is to come to church and to know that we are expecting God to move. And that just raises the spiritual temperature. Rid yourself of the language that says, oh, it's just another Sunday. No, it's never just another Sunday. Lamentation says that God's mercies are new every morning, and His faithfulness is great. So if you don't have something to be excited about Sunday morning, well then, maybe you shouldn't be the person that's up in front. But be on your knees, be expectant, encounter. Again, going back to Hebrews 11:6, be expectant that God is going to move as we call upon you. Did you have a question?
Yeah. What do you do when you invite someone over here and say, oh, okay, we're going to
You know what the great thing about worship leading is that you are not responsible for other people's, responses. That's between them and the Holy Spirit. But what your responsibility is before the Lord is to be faithful to what He's called you to do. And as a worship leader, you were called to facilitate. I love that word because I think it exemplifies really well what I'm trying to convey. You were there to facilitate an opportunity for people to respond. Whether they do or not, it's between them and the Lord. But you know what? Sometimes I've been on the stage and that's happened. And you know what? I think to myself, I said, Lord, I pray for these people. They have missed an opportunity, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to sing, Lord, and I love these people. I'm going to pray for them, and I'm going to continue to respond and be engaged. And a lot of the time, it will take months and sometimes years of them being demonstrated of what it means to be engaged before they're willing to step out in faith and to engage themselves. And that's why it's so important. Remember I said about arriving on time, about being engaged, being in the front row when you go back to Christmas. You can lead worship without singing a note. And that's demonstrating to other people what it means to be engaged. And you do that from the platform and off the platform. Does that help answer your question? Worshiping churches value excellence. I don't want to spend too long here because I know we did a session on this. We are able worshipers. I couldn't get away from the pun there. Of course, that's referring to the story of Cain and Abel. And you'll remember that Cain killed Abel because the Lord did not accept his worship sacrifice. Because the Lord wants what's excellent. He wants something that costs something. He wants a sacrifice of praise that costs something. Excellence matters. We are excellent in our skill and our character. Excellence in character always comes before excellence and competency. Excellence in character always comes before excellence and competency. What do I mean by that? What does that mean? To be excellent in character before being excellent in competency. You got it. Well said. Very well said. She said you need to be an excellent person on the inside before you become an excellent person. There's a lot of people that you guys will encounter that could, probably play like Eddie Van Halen on the guitar, but their hearts aren't in the right spot. People might even come up to you and say, why aren't they involved in the ministry? I hear them playing, they're so amazing, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have those difficult discussions, not with the people that ask you, but with the actual people that are auditioning for you. Just, man, I don't think that there's a spot for you right now, but let's continue to communicate, and let's continue to grow together. The people that want to grow and that want to be on the team will grow with you, and will allow you to shepherd them. And sometimes that means, sometimes you may say, well, that person's heart isn't in the right spot. They don't hang around the right people. Well, what are you doing to invite them into your life to be a good influence for them? Maybe they don't have a good influence. Maybe that's what's keeping them from being involved in the worship ministry. Well, what are you doing to bring them in the fold? So keep that in mind. The opposite is true as well. What are you doing to bring people who are not musically excellent up to excellence? We don't just say, oh, no, sorry, you're not getting that from maybe on the curbside. That's not the job of a worship pastor. Because we're shepherds. We love the people. We never leave anybody by the corner. We shepherd them in a gift. For some people, that might be, helping them out with some, lessons. Maybe I've seen churches subsidize lessons to help train up, people in their gift. What a great testimony that is. For somebody to be like, yeah, my church actually paid for lessons so I can become good at my instrument. Some churches, may not be able to offer that, but maybe you and your skill set can connect them with people that are good at an instrument, another instrument. Or maybe you yourself could connect them, with people in town that could be teaching, them lessons in that area so that they can be raised and shepherded in their gift. I'm running out of time, aren't I? Yeah. Cool. You want me to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's do this really quickly. Worshiping churches take personal preparation seriously. That's the next slide. And just a couple of things from there. Again, this whole sense of coming to church hungry, eager, with a sense of expectation, anticipation. Sunday is a culmination of what's already been going throughout the week. We worship Monday through Friday, and Sunday is a celebration of all of that. We understand what we have been created to do, and that is to worship. It's the default setting of all humans. Next slide there. Worshiping churches actively participate in corporate worship. We talked a lot about this. Arriving on time, being involved, being engaged, coming prepared, giving their all, participating in worship, despite their circumstances. They raise the spiritual temperature of their service through their personal holiness. Guys, that is key. They raise their spiritual temperature of their service through their personal holiness. There is a direct correlation between your personal time with the Lord and your effectiveness as a worship leader on Sunday morning. You want to have powerful moments with your congregation as you lead in the worship. Get your private life with the Lord intact and up to par. Actively engaged in corporate worship, and they use their whole bodies to worship God, incorporating all biblical expressions of worship. Let me challenge you with this. There's a biblical expression of worship that you have not experienced or that you don't employ. Well, why not? Often we'll, say, well, oh, it's my temperament, or I'm not expressive in this way, and blah, blah. You know what? The Lord has given our bodies as a way to respond to Him. And we need to be challenged by that, and to experiment that in our private times, and then sometimes even in our corporate times as well. Just fly through the last slide here. The final thing, worshiping churches are outward focused. Worshiping churches are outward focused. Our worship is diminished. There's a musical theory term there for you guys. Lower the third, lower the fifth, and what do you got? Diminished glory. The same way our worship is diminished. It's lacking if it only resides within the four corners of the church sanctuary. Okay? Truth must be lived out and demonstrated from the inside out. Guys, if our worship times are only happening on a Sunday morning, and we're not, things like James chapter 4, true religion that our Father in heaven accepts is that they take care of the orphans and the widows in their distress, and that they keep oneself from becoming polluted from the world. Guys, that is the type of worship that we ought to be employing. If it's only kept within the four walls of our church, then it is not doing what it ought to be doing. It's diminished. We need to be expressive of the love of Christ through the broken world. Worship is given to Christ in deeds of love and sacrificial service. You see evidence of God's supernatural power in changing lives. We are engaged in compassion ministry. Really quick as we close today, how many people have heard of, Christmas for an Orphan or Operation Christmas Child? They make opportunities like that easy for us at Liberty University. You know what? You may not have a lot of money at your disposal, but let me tell you, you can lead worship on your dorm without playing a single note by getting one of those boxes and filling it. And there's no reason living in the richest country in the world that we cannot take the opportunities that are right at our doorstep if we respond to the needs around us. That is what true worship is, guys. Matthew 22 says that you are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That is the greatest commandment. That is what true worship is. Second is to love others as yourself. If you want a definition of worship, it's in those two things, loving God and loving others. We need to be doing that. We need to be looking for those characteristics in other churches. And hopefully this today has given you a blueprint so that now as we conclude this course, you guys can say, okay, these are the characteristics. This is what a worshiping church looks like. And this is what the worshiping church that I want to pastor, that I want to be a part of, will aim to be. So I hope that helps you guys. Let me pray for you guys as we close off today.